This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to. Why do we got an echo? What the hell's going on with that? But anyway, welcome to the afternoon show presented by ESPN.
That's God. That's God letting you know He's listening, Chris.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was. Shit's falling down. Anyway, I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Tony Gonzalez and Jake McLovin. How's it going, guys?
Well, oh man, it's after last night's games and today's craziness. It's good considering all things in tow, man. The weather's nice, the wind is good, and man, I'm still stoked over last night's games, guys. That was amazing.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's start off with that Knicks game. The Knicks upset the Celtics there in Boston, 108-105 in overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to go get this phone, but the one thing I want to say about that Knicks game is, holy cow, Josh Hart, defense, Brunson, reignited, Steph Curry 2.0, whatever you want to call it. Between those two guys alone, they brought the heat, baby. They brought the heat. And I will say this, though, on Boston's behalf, they did lose Porzingis and they did lose their other big guys. They were without their big guys. But outside of that, man, what a game, man.
Yep. Well, I mean, I don't understand. Okay, you get their big guy in foul trouble, Chris. They got the New York's big guy in foul trouble, and then they quit going to the hoop. They shot 63 pointers, and they only shot 25% from 3-point. Didn't make a lot of sense to me, that game plan. The Knicks shot 42% from the field and 46% from the 3-point. Celtics shot 35% from the field and 25% from the 3-point line. I didn't understand why they didn't go to the hoop more.
Yeah, I didn't either, but that's how the Celtics play, and that's how they vault. That's how they play. I've played all year. To me, the Celtics' biggest problem was, I mean, yeah, they missed fucking 45 3-pointers. I mean, that's a big problem. But the other big problem was when you play the Celtics and the ball's moving, when they're on offense and the ball's moving around, they're impossible to guard. But then they'll go through these stretches where they want to play just all ISO ball. And one guy will have the ball and everybody else just standing watching and dribble and try to create something. That's when they start struggling. And last night when they were struggling and when they got that guy in foul trouble was when they were passing the ball and moving the ball and they were attacking the rim a little bit early. But to me, late in the game, they started playing too much ISO ball. It was too much. Let's give the ball to Tatum and him dribble and try a step back or Brown one-on-one with somebody. And with the shooters they have on that team, if they get the ball moving, kind of like the Pacers. When with the Pacers, that's why we're so tough to defend. Is because we have 5 guys on the court that can all shoot the ball, and nobody's selfish. The ball's always moving around. And the Celtics play when they're at their best. That's how they play. And I think they got away from that a little bit. But the thing is, Celtics lost Porzingis, missed 45 threes, shot 25% from threes, which isn't going to happen very often.
No. And still only lost by 3 points in overtime.
Yes, I mean the game still went in overtime, and I mean Celtics had plenty of chances to win that game. So I know some people say, well, the Knicks missed like 12 free throws or 15 free throws or something, so that could have made a big difference. They're going to have to shoot the ball better at the free throw line because they won't win. I would be surprised if they win another game in this series if they go 17 for 31 at the free throw line. If you're barely shooting over 50% at the free throw line, you're going to have trouble beating the Celtics because it's not going to happen every night that the Celtics are going to shoot like they do. I still think the Celtics win this series in probably, I think I'd said 6 to begin with, 5-6 games somewhere around there. But hey, Nick's found a way to get a win, and I mean that's all that matters in the long run, especially in a 7-game series, and to be able to get one at Boston.
Well, put some pressure, definitely put some pressure on Boston now. Where probably they wouldn't feel them that much, really. The other thing Nick's got to do, they got to rebound better, especially on the offensive rebounds. They got, I think, out rebound by 10 or 12 rebounds, especially on the offensive side. So they got to do a better job there. And like you said, the 3-point thing. But it was a tale of two halves because Boston scored in the first half, scored 61 points, but then only scored 39 in the second half.
Yeah, well, Boston was up by 20 in the third quarter, up by 9 going into the fourth quarter. And like I said, and that's another thing. Look, they only had 18 assists.
Yep.
That's not how Boston. I mean, Boston is usually in the high 20s to low 30 and on assists as a team. And like I said, they didn't have that ball moving. Porzingis going out. I think he only played like 10, 11 minutes or something, and then he went out with the illness or something. But yeah, it's not going. It's just crazy to me that the Celtics took 97 shots and 60 of them are 3-pointers. But that's how they. But like I said, that's how they play, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't shoot more 3-pointers this next game. That's how they play, and you live by it, and you die by it. But more times than not, they're hitting enough of them that they win.
But the problem is they kept New York in that game, and New York's a gritty, tough team. There's no doubt I think Boston has the better team, but we'll see. I mean, it was a crazy game, that's for sure. And they, Boston, like I said, didn't score well in the second half and only scored 5 points in the overtime.
Yeah, like I said, they couldn't hit shots, but they're in that overtime and toward the end of that fourth quarter. But a lot of it was, to me, they weren't moving the ball. When they moved the ball, they would score, but then they go right back to let's dribble half the shot clock away, and then we're going to try a fade away or something there. Then,
yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, it just wasn't. I mean, it was an entertaining game to watch, but
let's move on to the second game. We had Denver and OKC. OKC led the most of that game, and I think they led pretty close to 20 points at one time in that game. And to me, when we talked about it, I think they're at the end. I think OKC blew the game with their time management and fouling too soon. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. Why? You immediately foul them when they threw the ball in. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, in that game, to me, the big thing was OKC had a chance there in the first half of that game to kind of put Denver away. And there in that second quarter, they got up by like 15, 16, and with like 3 minutes left in the second, 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and Denver was able to go on a run and only be down by like 8 at halftime. And I remember sitting in here at watching the game, and I was like, well, "That's a win for Denver." The way that they didn't play good in that first half, only be down by 8 points. That was a big win for Denver in that game because OKC really had a chance to put their foot on their throat in that second quarter, the last 4 minutes of that second, and go into halftime up 20 or more points. But then, and like I said, Denver was able to cut that to only like an 8-point lead at halftime. And then even in that third quarter, OKC started to get a little bit of a lead, but Denver basically played them even in that third quarter. I think it was like a 6-point game at 5 or 6 point game at the end of the third quarter. So they didn't gain a lot of ground, but they didn't lose no ground. And in that fourth quarter, OKC couldn't play no defense without fouling for one. I mean, the Nuggets basically made their comeback there in that, or kept them in the game in that fourth quarter. The Nuggets was on the free throw line, and Jokic took over. I mean, you could see him telling his teammates where to be and stuff. He took over there in that fourth quarter, but I do not understand what the OKC Thunder coach was doing. I think he got outcoached there at the end of that game. I think they blew that game. They were fouling way too quick. If you want to foul so a team can't take a three, I understand that. But you got to let some time run off the damn clock. I mean, they were fouling them as soon as they were catching the ball. There was no time running off the clock. So now you're putting all the pressure, and your guy misses a free throw, and now you're in trouble because now you can't foul him, and you got to play you got to play defense, and it got him. You ball's in the backcourt there. Let him start bringing it forward, run 3 or 4 seconds off, then foul him. I understand you want to foul him before you get a shot attempt up, but hell, he ain't going to try to shoot it from 3/4 court with a 2 minutes or a minute left in the fucking game. Like I thought their handling of the time at the end by the OKC Thunder coach was terrible
too.
I thought they basically gave the Nuggets a second chance there at the end of that game, but it was a good game. But like I told you, I thought the Nuggets would win this series, and that was a big win for them to get that game won.
Another thing with OKC that helped lose that game for them too is they got out rebounded by 20 rebounds. They're going to have to rebound better. But one big thing that Denver's got to improve on too, that Denver had way too many. They had 18 turnovers. They're going to have to protect the ball, which I know OKC is a good defensive team and quick, but they scored a lot of points off those turnovers, so they got to do a better job there. And Joker, I tell you what, I think he's the MVP. I watched Alexander a little bit, and I've watched him. I think Joker's the best in the world. I really do. But it was an entertaining game, that's for sure. Jay, what do you think of that game?
I thought the Pacers sucked. Or am I in the wrong series?
Wrong series. We're talking OKC Denver.
I just had to give Chris a hard time. No, seriously. Hey, look, this game, I learned some things in this game. I don't know if I've ever really truly watched Joker in the transitional side of the game. I've seen a lot of highlights of Joker, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of highlights of Joker, but I've never really seen the transitional side of Joker. And by the way, is it just me or does Joker look like he has a dad bod? I mean, he doesn't really look like an athlete. He just looks like almost like a big ogre kind of guy. It's interesting. But to say the least, I noticed that when he's in transition, he's very slow. He's not the quickest of transitioning centers. It almost reminds me a little bit of Shaq. Shaq wasn't exactly the fastest transitioning center in the league. You know what I'm saying? And I think I told the chat group, I said, I feel like I'm watching, a guy lumber up and down the court. When you get Joker in a half court setting, he goes to work. He does his thing. But if you ever get him on a fast break or anything like that, Joker's not flying down there. He'll be the last one that gets down there. So your quicker guard's going to have to do the work. I remember, some of the quicker guards like, the Chet Holmgrens or the Rudy Goberts or any of the. I remember even back in the days of Olajuwon, things like Tim Duncan, all those kind of. They were quick transitioning centers. But Joker's very
or guards.
Yeah, he meant center.
But you know what I'm saying? Like he's not the quickest of guys. And I feel like there are certain systems where Joker would fit perfectly in. I think what what Boston runs, which is more of a half court, or what Golden State runs, which is more of a half court type of get up. I think a guy like Joker fits in really well. You put him in a Memphis lineup, which is super quick and fast, or you put him in a Houston Rockets, which is super quick and fast and relies a lot on that quick transitional baskets. Joker probably doesn't do quite as well there to fit in that scheme. I know, of course you will. It's okay.
Well, I disagree because Jokic is the system. Whatever team's he on, he is the system, and he can bring the ball up the court. Is he the fastest guy? Is he the fastest guy? No, but He's not the fastest guy, but he might not be the fastest guy, but he's the best player in the league. And if you put him on Houston's team,
I'm not going to argue that. Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. I know he's the best player in the league.
You put him on the Houston Rockets team, you put him on any team in the NBA, he's going to make that team better.
But here's the thing.
You
This
put
is what
him
I'm
on
saying.
Houston, then Houston probably win championship.
Hold on. And I don't disagree with you on that. That's not what I'm saying. And I don't disagree with what you're saying. And I'm certainly not going to argue that point that he is the system. What I'm trying to say is if you take Joker and you take him to Houston, it's going to go away from what they're doing now currently, and they're going to have to fit it around Joker. That's what I'm saying. You're not taking Joker and put him in the system that Udoka is running currently and expect it to work. It would have to all be about Joker and how he plays, and you're going to format your system around Joker. So I understand that's exactly what I'm saying. You know, if you bring a guy like Joker in, you're bringing him in specifically to run a certain type of offense. You're not bringing him in to run the offense that Houston is currently running now, or Memphis is running, or any other fast-paced team, right? That's just not going to work.
Because you could bring Jokic on the Pacers.
I'll tell you what.
You could bring Jokic on the Pacers right now, and we're one of the fastest teams to play. We wouldn't have to change our style of play because Jokic isn't a selfish player. The ball's moving around.
It's not about being selfish, but you're not taking advantage of him because when you score those buckets super quick, he's not down there to help you get a rebound because he's still at the other end of the floor lumbering up.
I'm telling you, he could fit right in with a team like the Pacers and play that fast pace, and it would work.
I think he could with the Rockets too, especially
because he can shoot the three ball as well. And he moves better than what you think, what you're thinking as well. Last night he also played 42 minutes last night as well. But I'm telling you, he could play with the pace. He could play a fast pace with the Rockets as well. He can play any style of ball.
I think he can.
I watched that game from start to finish. He did.
And
I can't tell you how many times I saw OKC on a fast break, and Joker wasn't anywhere to be found because he was still coming up the court. I'm just saying. I'm not saying the guy can't do it, and I'm not saying he's not doing it. Look, he obviously had 42 points, 22 rebounds. I think he had like 8 assists. I mean, the guy clearly balls out. I just think but I have seen him where he's not the most. Like I see a ball where it came to him and it hit him in the foot and it's just barely rolling to the edge. And he was it was almost like watching a guy in slow motion. Like he couldn't even catch the ball. And I'm just saying there were some things I saw about Joker's game where he wasn't the quickest of quick people. He's a little bit slower. Doesn't mean he's not the best player in the league. He is the best player in the league. I'm not going to argue that point.
He's pacing himself, Jay.
He's got to pace himself. Because you're not running Joker up and down that court and expecting him to give you, a lot of minutes. I don't think he's conditioned to do that.
Well, I imagine him in the Mike D'Antoni offense. Goodness gracious,
he plays a lot
the first month of the year.
I think he averages about 40 minutes a game. I know he played 42, and I'm not making excuses. He just came off a tough series, 7-game series. They
he
just
may have been tired. Yesterday, he may have been tired. That may have just been him being tired. So I'll give him a pass. I think when we watch the next Nuggets game, I am going to watch and see how he transitions, maybe a little bit better. But I mean, at the end of the day, they got the win. At the end of the day, and I tell you, that Aaron Gordon, I really like Aaron Gordon. That guy, he is really. That's the second time I've seen this man come up with a game-winning shot in the playoffs. That's the second time. And he just seems to be there when you need him, right? Now, I don't know. And Tony, I know, and I agree with you that I think that OKC kind of slept on Aaron Gordon a little bit, right? But that last shot, when he took that three-pointer, I'm thinking to myself, oh, don't take the three. That's a low percentage shot. But obviously he switched it, and it wasn't a big deal, right? But what a game. I did not see – I thought OKC was going to win that game.
Well, I did too. And the way Celtics were playing, I thought that Celtics had that game. And man, did we get fooled?
all the higher seeded teams with that home court advantage have lost so far. I've lost game 1 of the second round so far.
Yep.
We have the other game 1 tonight.
Minnesota.
And then the Pacers are going to go up 2-0 tonight.
Glenn, what did you think of the games last night? I guess he didn't think anything.
So Jay, you didn't think? Oh, go ahead.
Thoughts,
Glenn.
yeah. Sorry about that. I had to click the unmute thing. But yeah, man, Denver. I figured they would take care of business. I was like, and I saw that last possession. I'm like, they're about to win this game right here. And sure enough, Aaron Gordon, Glenn Gordon, Jeff Gordon, game winner, baby.
Aaron
Then,
Gordon, Jeff Gordon. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
You guys didn't think that the OKC coach mismanaged at the time at the end of the game?
I do. I
Oh
came
yeah.
in-
Well,
I came in.
I think part of it is that, but I also think part of it was OKC wasn't hitting their free throws towards the end of that game either.
True.
Matter of fact, they let them back into the game because they weren't hitting their free throws. Had they hit those free throws, they would have been up by much more than just, I think, the 2 points. Aaron
what I'm
Gordon hit
saying.
that 3.
That's what I'm saying, though, Jay. But if you let a little time go off before you foul them, then you wouldn't have had to shoot as many free throws. And then them last 2 free throws that Holmgren missed wouldn't have been a big deal because they wouldn't have had that much time.
I agree.
You gave them a lot more time.
Give him extra possessions. I mean, if you let him catch, because I mean, as soon as they was catching the ball, they were fouling them, and I like.
You know, I mean, there weren't even a second going off the clock.
No, and that didn't make sense to me at all. I came in here. Chris was watching in his room, and I came. Chris, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of mismanagement on their part, but also the bigger part, honestly, was missing the free throws. I'm sorry. Make your free throws. They're giving you free shots at the free throws. You know you got to make your free throws.
Well, the other
Makes
thing
me
As far
is,
as the Boston series,
third thing is OKC has to rebound the ball. They got out rebounded by like 20 rebounds.
Yep.
They got to rebound the ball, or you can't give Denver second opportunities.
yeah, as far as that Boston series is concerned, my thoughts on that was, I tell you what, man, my Boston sweep went up and spoke quite quickly with that one, man. I mean, New York came back and won that game. I saw the vision of them winning the game because I was like, Jalen Brunson to the rim, game winner. Now, granted, he blew the game winner when he got to the rim at the end of regulation. But
I know. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, New York still got it done, man. So, hey, this game, this actually, you know what? After seeing that last night, that series might go 7 games.
Well, the biggest thing for me now, honestly, the biggest thing for me now with Boston is they lost Porzingis. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. They lost the other guy, the other tall big man. I cannot remember that guy's last name to save my life, but they lost him too. So they lost both of their big men relatively right around that third quarter mark. I think is when he went out.
No, they lost Porzingis. They lost Porzingis in the first half.
No, I'm talking about the second guy though that they lost. I think they lost him around the third quarter.
Yeah, Porzingis they lost early in the game, but it's not an injury with him. It was sick. So I think they expect to hopefully have him back.
Yeah, that ordeal with
game.
those injuries.
I'm sure they're hoping to have back next game. But yeah,
they.
Let's see what that guy's. But I think that's really going to be it, though. I mean, if they don't get the 2 big men back, that's going to be very difficult for Boston to hang with the Knicks and Karl-Anthony Towns. And let's not forget OG, man. I'm gonna say I'm calling Anabui or whatever. That guy was playing well. I mean, he was playing really, really well. Him, Josh Hart, and Brunson, those 3 guys, man. I mean, Josh Hart's defense was stupid.
Yeah, the ordeal with the injuries with those 2 teams makes tonight's game with the Pacers that much more important because if we can end the series early and that series goes long, hey, the Pacers may just have a clear path to the finals.
Clear path to the final. I got a clear path.
I don't know about no clear path, but anyway.
Honestly, the thing that I took out of this game the most is Celtics didn't play a good game at all, shot the ball terrible, and the Knicks had almost everything go right for them, and the game still went in overtime. I mean, that's with Boston losing. Porzingis didn't have it, but to me, is if Boston gets back to playing Celtic basketball where the ball's moving and not just ISO ball like they started playing a lot in that fourth quarter, I think Boston wins this in either 5 or 6 games. I can see Boston going on and winning 4 in a row in this series if they play like they're capable of. But you have to give it to the Knicks though. They battled back, hung around, but Boston, it's just me. Everything went right for the Knicks. Boston played a bad game, and it still went in overtime. So I mean, that shows you like the Knicks are going to have to put, in my opinion, my plan was perfect to win in the 7-game series.
I'm got something to say to Joe, but we're not got there yet to the Cleveland game. But I got something to say to that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Same.
but anyway,
Cornette is the other guy that went down though. Cornette was the other guy that left the game, and I think it was an ankle injury that he left on, if I'm not mistaken.
Jim Cornette tribute, baby.
Yep, I predicted 6. The Celtics in 6, and I definitely think it goes 6 now after them winning, because I think the Knicks are going to get at least 1 at home. I don't think Boston is going to get every game at New York, so I think at least go 6 now. I really do, and that's what I predicted. Knicks are a scrappy team. Do I think Boston's a better team? Yes, I do. But if I mean, you never know. And does the big guys come back healthy? I know one guy was just like, sick with the flu or whatever he had, but we'll see. But the Celtics kind of blew that game, just kind of like OKC blew their game. And I didn't understand. You got Towns in foul trouble, and then you didn't take advantage of it. Why didn't you go inside after you got him knocked out of the game, a big part of the game, because you got him in foul trouble? You just kept chucking up 63s. And you wasn't hitting them. It'd be one thing if you're hitting them. And I think you'd have a better chance to hit them, like Chris said, if you had some ball movement and setting up those threes a little better than just coming down and dribbling and firing up threes, chucking them up. So,
that Knicks defense there at the end of regulation and in overtime was the greatest like defensive stands I've ever seen from those guys. So,
and again, I mean, a lot of that you got to put on Josh Hart, man. That guy was, when there were loose balls, he was all over it. Steals, he was all over it. Block shots, I mean, that guy was really doing a hell of a job. And I'm not even a Josh Hart fan, but I thought he played well.
I can't remember the guy that knocked the ball and it was going to go out of bounds, and he caught it, got the ball, threw it back in, and it was a big play for the Knicks there towards the end of the game. I can't remember who the guy's name was.
Mikal Bridges?
Bridges, that's right.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges, yeah.
Because I had that on my Fire Stick watching it along with the Raw last night. So
let me ask you guys this, because a lot of people on the panel, I think all of us pretty much pick OKC. I think I took OKC in 6, but a lot of you guys were taking them in 5. I think some people took them in 4. How does that change now? After seeing that game, does that change your opinion at all, Jay? Do you still think OKC is going to win it in 5?
No. If last night's game was an indicator for this, I think it goes 7. Honestly, I think it could easily go 7. I mean, the way both of those teams are going after each other and keeping it close, and the fact that Denver was able to battle back on them, even though they were down by, how much was Denver down by? I mean, it was down by 20, I think, almost 20 at one point, weren't they? Or close to 20, I believe.
Yeah, definitely that way, 15, 16 at least.
I mean, I think it goes 7, honestly. And I don't think that OKC is a clear winner in this.
Yeah, I think it can go 7 too. I see some stuff in that game that would make me think that.
Chris, what did I can't remember what you picked. Did you pick Denver to win the series? I thought you did. I think you said 6 or 7, didn't you? Yeah, I took OKC. I think I took them in 6 or 7. I can't remember now, but I know it was at least 6, if not 7.
14. They had them down by, I thought it was 20. They had them down by 14. And they came back and got that.
I know Boston was up 20 at one point. I know that for sure.
That's probably where he was getting the 20 at.
I know Joker picked up that flagrant foul for that elbow, but I don't think that's going to be any kind of a hindrance because he's not like a Draymond Green that just goes out there and racks up tees, so I don't think that's really going to be an issue for him. But I am wondering about Golden State. And I know we're not going to get to that right now, but I just wonder that specific thing is I wonder how Draymond is going to navigate the rest of this playoffs when he already has 4 and it only takes 6 to be suspended. So I'm curious to see how that all plays out with him.
Well, we can go ahead and jump into the other games. We can jump into other games, and we'll start. Let's go ahead and start with the Warriors, Minnesota, then we'll go to the Pacers. Man, this is a interesting series. I'm still ain't decided who I'm gonna pick between these two teams.
Right.
Chris brought up something interesting too. If you look at the last, I don't know, Chris, you can go ahead and give that what you told me yesterday about how Minnesota's played in the last.
Yeah, there are. I just want to make sure I got the number right. I had it wrote down on one of these papers.
I didn't realize this.
They're like, over their last 25 games, the Timberwolves are like 20-5. I think people just kind of forgot that, like, toward the end of the season, end of the year, they finished real strong. I have it wrote down, but I know it's they're 20-5 over their last 25 games. I like the way they're playing, and I think they made some changes to their team after they made that run last year to the Western Conference Finals, and then due to some injuries and just I think the team building continuity and stuff together, I think they got off to a little bit of a slow start. I think now they're starting to play like the GM and coach thought it was going to happen when they made those trades and got Randall and them guys. Randall has had a great had a great series last series. Honestly, I think the Timberwolves are going to win this series. I think it's going to be T-Wolves and Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. I told Dad that yesterday or the day before.
How many games?
I see both in the Western Conference Series. I think it'll be 6-7 games. I can see it going 7 games, but I think the Timberwolves are going to be able to wear the Warriors down, and I just don't know if Warriors are going to get enough help from other guys besides Butler, Curry, and Draymond against the Timberwolves, especially when it gets later in games like 6 and 7. I think Minnesota can be able to grind on the Warriors and wear them out a little bit.
I see what you're saying, because that's kind of what they did to the Lakers. Lakers got wore out, I mean, that's kind of it's a perfect way to say it. They got wore out. I think Golden State's got a little bit more than the Lakers overall. Man, I'm having a hard time trying to decide who I want to pick here.
And for tonight's game, they have the Timberwolves as 6.5-point favorites.
Do they? Man, Warriors coming off a tough series. I think I'm gonna go Minnesota in 6. I think I was really for the Warriors, but Minnesota showed me something. So I mean, it's really hard for me to go against Butler and Steph though, because that combination, it's tough to go against that.
Personally, I'd like to see Golden State win, but I think it's gonna be a tough series for them.
Well, if the Pacers can't win it all, I'll be honest with you, I'd like to see Steph get another one. I think.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I'm going to go Golden State on this one for a lot of reasons. Especially like I said, after what I've watched Golden State do in the Houston series. And if anybody's going to wear you out, it's going to be Houston with all those 22-year-olds running around and them sticking up with them. Pros and cons, right? For Golden State, pros. A lot of people are going to forget about Pajinski, and I know I'm probably saying his name wrong. Brendan Pajinski, he's the shooting guard. I think a lot of times you want to talk about underrated players. I think he's very underrated. I watched that guy knock down threes just as much as Buddy did, just as much as Steph did, just as much as Butler. He just doesn't get the accolades of it. But when you watch that guy, he is a very solid shooter for this team. And I think the Warriors have cutters. I think they have more than enough three-point shooters. You can bring Kuminga in. I think that the experience a lot of times wins out. And I think, they're going to have to go into Minnesota. Minnesota's going to have home court advantage. But I don't think it really matters a whole lot to the Warriors. I think it doesn't matter if they got home court or not. They're just a very poised team. The only one that truly isn't poised for Golden State, and the only thing that is a con for me with Golden State is going to be Draymond. Because Draymond is a really good defender, right? We all know he is. But Draymond is an emotional player, and it's very easy to get into him, and it's very easy to draw fouls from him out of frustration by him. And that's the only part that really worries me about Golden State. If you say what's the weakness of Golden State, I would say it is Draymond's emotional IQ. And I don't mean that to make him sound bad, but Draymond has a tendency to be a very reactionary guy. And a lot of times that reactionary translates into physicalness, which translates into flagrant fouls, 1 and 2. And tease. He gets a lot of tease. Coaching still goes to Steve Kerr. I think we all agree that Steve Kerr is a better coach. If Steph comes out and plays like and hits those 3 balls like he did against Houston, I think it's going to be very hard to beat Golden State. Golden State's the kind of team that you can wear down, but can come back on you very quickly. On the plus side for Minnesota, Ant-Man is playing lights out. I mean, I've seen MJ comparisons. I think that's ridiculous, but I understand where they're coming from. He's playing at a very high level right now. Gobert is a very good defensive guy. John Randall, I'm not big on John Randall. I haven't been big on John Randall when he was with LA, New York, and now with T-Wolves. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's – when you get into a three-point battle or if you get down, you're not going to be able to compete with him. John Randall's not going to be able to compete with him like that. John Randall is a physical guy. But I said all that to say this. I got Golden State in 7. I think it does go 7 games, but it's going to be Golden State that comes out on top on this one.
Okay, Big Glenn, what do you think about this series?
Minnesota's going to get the job done. They struggled against Houston. They struggled against them the whole series, and barely was able to walk away with their win, despite the last couple minutes of the game in the fourth quarter. But that I just attribute that to Houston being young at the end of the day. But Minnesota's got the guy that can, I feel like, can slow Golden State down enough to where they can take the series.
And Jay, this is crazy. But I'm sitting there thinking about this. If Houston would have won that series against the Warriors, I would have took Houston over Minnesota.
Yeah. By the way, Mike, please, I am currently in transit right now. I need my Mai Tai at a crisp 59 degrees. Having said that, wow, man, that's a hard one because I feel like Houston. Yeah, man, that's a hard one. I think Houston could take Minnesota, but I definitely think that would be a very hard fought series as well.
No one.
Wow, man, that would be a hard fought series. I do think. I think Golden State. The reason why I like Golden State so much in this is because of what Jimmy brings to it. No, seriously, what Houston needs Kevin Durant.
Houston needs Mike,
no, let's not go that direction. I've already said I don't want a superstar. I just want a role player. And Joe, they did get lucky against us. I really felt like there were some things that Houston brought there that I felt like we should have wanted, but it's free throws. That's a whole other world, Joe. Honestly, but when you look at the three, shut up. See how you look at the amount of 3-pointers. Look at the amount of playmakers that Golden State has. If Steph Curry, if you watched that last game, and Glenn, I know you watched that last game. Steph Curry had 5 points in the first half. I think he had like 13 in the second half. But who was it that really stood up for Golden State? Who was the one that actually beat Houston? It wasn't Curry that beat Houston. It wasn't Draymond that beat Houston. It was 2 players. It was Jimmy and it was Buddy Hield.
Yeah,
it was Buddy Hield and Pajinski. Yeah, look at Pajinski. Look what he did at the 3-point. Really,
especially in the middle of the series.
It doesn't have to have one guy. They have so many guys that can step up in so many ways on the 3-ball, the short ball, whatever you want to say, can draw fouls. It's going to be very hard for Minnesota, I think, to match up with Golden State because they're not the 3-point shooters that Golden State is. And if they get down, they're going to have to rely to the paint. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things against Minnesota going into this. I really think that.
And Jay, that's what I brought up yesterday. In those games that Houston lost to Golden State, I know that you got Butler and you got Curry, but the games that they won, somebody else stepped up. The game that they lost, Golden State lost, them players didn't step up, and it was different players each game. So the games they won, somebody stepped up, and that's what Golden State's going to have again against Minnesota. I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
Oh, no,
I would
absolutely.
not be shocked if Golden State wins a series. I would not be shocked if Golden State wins a series because, like I said, I'm having a hard time picking it. I did end up going Minnesota in the end, but I'm not completely confident in that pick. I mean, it's just tough for me. That series is really even to me. So,
right.
But I did
and
go
Joe,
with
you're right. Houston did beat themselves. Houston beat themselves in multiple areas, right? Free throws, 3-point percentages, turnovers. Houston really did themselves a disservice in that series. But you know what? They're young.
Yep.
And I expect that from them. And I expect that to be part of the learning curve that Houston takes into next season. But when I look at Golden State, I look at a lot of veterans. I look at more of a complete team. I think they're more complete than what Minnesota is. I think Minnesota has a lot of good parts, but I don't think they're a complete team. And I think that complete team is what's going to hinder them going up against Golden State, especially when Steph goes on a run of threes, or Buddy Hield goes on a run of threes, or Jimmy goes on a run of threes, or passing or whatever. I wonder if Minnesota is going to be able to keep up with Golden State point-wise.
Do you guys think Golden State's going to be able to handle Minnesota down in the paint?
That's where it gets tricky. It gets real tricky because, again, Draymond. Can Draymond handle it down low with John Randall and Gobert and not let his temper get the better of him or let his temper make bad choices? And that's really where it comes down to. I agree with you. But the paint, that's if you said what's their weakness, I would say paint and defending the paint is probably the weakness for Golden State. And
Joe,
also remember, Gary Payton II is still game time decision, and Gary Payton is one of their better defenders.
Yes. Joe, you talk about Houston only scoring 89 points. Yeah, that's true. But I tell you, you got to give Golden State some credit on their defense, especially in the second half. I thought Golden State's defense. I thought Steph was playing some very good defense. It's something that he don't always do. He don't always play great defense. I thought he played some really good defense in the second half. So I think some of that was attributed to Golden State's defense. I know Houston didn't play a great game. I'm not saying that they did, but I think some of that was because of Golden State's defense.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're shooting below 40% from the field and you're not making your free throws,
yep.
I mean, do you really expect to win a game like that? I don't know if I've ever seen a team shoot under 40% and not make their free throws at a good rate and come away with a W. I don't know have y'all ever seen? I don't think I've ever seen that.
I'm sure it's probably happened, but it's probably a situation where they really got a bunch of rebounds and put them back in or something like that. But yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of that. It's true. Okay.
Maybe.
Let's talk about these Pacers and Cleveland. And now I want to address Joe for a minute. First of all, Joe said that the Cleveland was going to win in 4. Now he's predicting they're going to win tonight. So are you predicting they're going to win in 5 now? I'd seen Sanchez on here about Boston. He's back. Oh, Boston's going to win in 4. Now that's changed. They're going to win in 5. And what's going to be after the next game? It's going to be 6. Come on, guys. Be accountable. Admit to your faults. You was wrong. You said Cleveland was going to sweep the Pacers. They may still beat the Pacers. I'm not going to sit here and say that this series is not over. It is not. No doubt about it. It's not over by a long shot. Same thing with Boston.
I'll admit that. Look, I will admit that when Gonzo admits that he wears red in favor of the Rockets, I will admit that. Matter of fact, GSR is even written in red. I want it said that he wears that luchador mask at Rockets games every other week. I know he does. Tell me what the hell I'm going to admit to. You admit to that first, and then I'll admit. Okay. By the way,
no, I remember sitting here and somebody on this panel saying that the Pacers weren't even on Cleveland's level. This is going to be an easy series for Cleveland.
I did say that. I did. Absolutely, 100%. I will admit to that. Now, can you admit that you're a closet Rockets fan? That luchador mask is really for the Rockets? Let's go ahead. Let's have a cleansing moment, please.
If that was true, I'd admit
it is true. It's not if. It is true. I know who you are. Mr. Mysterio. I know who you are.
Rockets would have got beat by Minnesota. Rockets would have got beat by Minnesota.
Joe backtracking. It's still
Oh, look at you. Look at
gotta
you
have
guys. No, hey, look, let's be honest. You know, Cavs are hurt too. Coming into this game too. They took some injuries in game one. So now I'm kind of wondering how that's going to affect them against you guys in game two. And Gonzo, I know that upsets you because even you told me, Jay, if they don't have 100% team, somebody's going to say Pacers didn't deserve that win. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah. But now it don't matter to me. You know why? We beat them game one.
No, it don't matter. You got to put it out.
No, here's why. We beat them game one. They had all their guys. And it don't matter. Hell, we beat them. We were 8.5 point underdogs game one. We beat them. Now going into game two, we were 10-point underdogs. Now they might not have a couple of guys, so now we're 8-point underdogs. Yeah. It don't matter. We could walk out there with some fucking cat and dogs playing, and them have some, and they have some mice, and they're still going to be favored. We're not going to get no respect no matter what. It don't matter if they're full strength or what. All I know is Pacers are going to advance, and Pacers are going to the NBA Finals this year.
The national media, at the end of the day, can really kiss my ass. You know, so it doesn't matter if it's an 8 point, a +8 on the spread or whatever the heck. It could be +14. At the end of the day, the Pacers will get the job done.
That's underrated. You were talking about the guy from Golden State. Player that is severely underrated, Andrew Nembhard on the Indiana Pacers. That dude is one of the most underrated players in the NBA.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of teams have that one underrated guy. You know, like I said, Golden State. I think because there's so many shooters on Golden State that I think Pajetsky gets overlooked a lot because there's so many 3-point shooters on there. Now Nembhard, that's just because you're the Pacers. And no, don't take that offensively. The Rockets get that same level of disrespect. Okay, we do. I think a lot of teams are just like that. You know, I can't tell you how many times I get angry. And I tell my dad all the time when I watch broadcasters talk about Houston as if we're non-existent. And I'm like, you know, there's nothing you can do, Gonzo, sometimes. Sometimes it's just that way, you know. So all you can do is go out there and win the ship and shut them up. You got to go out there and win it.
No, wait a minute. Juan.
And I think, Glenn, I think, you know, you go to a lot of Pacers games. I think it would be hugely beneficial if you had a T-shirt that had Rodney Dangerfield on it and a Pacers garb saying, I get no respect.
Yeah, like that old T-shirt that Captain Lou used to have. It's like a cartoon thing of him and stuff, but it's Rodney Dangerfield and Pacer stuff. That'd be a genius.
First one says that's the only game that they get. That New York gets, but then he predicts Boston in 6. So what school did you go to, Juan?
I thought he said Boston in 5. That says Cavs in 6.
Man, I really think this is Frankie.
Okay, maybe we did say
I think this is Frankie. This is Frankie masking as Juan Sanchez sometimes.
He could definitely be his brother or a relative. I've seen him. Yeah,
I think Boston gets the series, but I think Knicks get at least one at home.
Is Pablo okay there's dying?
Yeah, but they still have them as 8-point favorites, even not knowing if guys are going to play or not.
Yeah. Pablo,
I don't.
Pablo,
the Pacers just need to go in, play like they did the other night. The only thing that they really have to clean up from game one is cut down on your turnovers, rebound the ball a little bit better. Other than that, we played a real good game in game one. We've been playing pretty good all playoffs.
Something else.
Joe.
Here's my thing.
If we can go to Cleveland 2 in a row, you'll give us respect. The same guy that
keep
said
that respect over there in his pocket.
And 4.
And then here's my thing. Like last year it was a fluke. We were a fluke. We made the Eastern Conference. It was a fluke. This year we're back in the second round. If we make the Eastern Conference Finals again, nobody can say it's a fluke if you do it twice, 2 years in a row.
Well, here's interesting. So Garland is out, right? So Darius Garland is out, which means probably Ty Jerome will take over for him in the starting lineup.
He didn't play the last game. He didn't play the last game. He didn't
Yeah,
play
so
any.
that's what I'm saying. So I think Ty Jerome will obviously slide in there still. But Evan Mobley is day-to-day, and so is DeAndre Hunter day-to-day. So I'm curious to see. I still think they play. If you're day-to-day, I got to imagine Evan Mobley plays. Do y'all see an issue with or a reason that Evan Mobley wouldn't play tonight, you think?
Well, he
something
might have
that's
bruised
still,
his tailbone.
yeah, I was gonna
When
say
he fell the way he landed, he might
Well,
have
right now
like
they've got it listed with an ankle. Right now they're saying it's an ankle. It's an ankle and has been listed as
Well, it
questionable.
might have been Hunter. It was Hunter. Then one of them
Yeah.
busted their ass. It might have been Hunter.
I think
I think it was Hunter. I think you're right. I think it was Hunter.
His injury is probably
Yeah.
similar to something like what Butler had. Mobley.
Actually, Hunter is listed with his thumb. Has been listed as questionable for Tuesday's game against the Pacers, and they're saying it's a thumb issue, not a
Yeah,
not a-
and thumb issues don't get better in
the
2
one block
days.
where he landed.
Yeah, thumb
Probably
issues don't get better in
that
2
thumb when he
days.
came down. I did that in stall
Yeah.
number 3 one time. It didn't feel good.
Something that Kenny Atkinson said stood out to me pretty good. I think it was his presser from yesterday. He was saying that I forget who.
Oh,
it
him
was.
crying like
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I was like, Cavs should definitely. Well, I should say the Cavs fans right now should definitely be worried about tonight. With Kenny Atkinson coming out and saying those things yesterday.
yeah, he was building in some excuses. Is what it sounded
Yeah.
like to me.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, we
It's
might
like he
not
has
have our
to-
guys, and they got hurt on a play where there should have been fouls called, and now it's not going to be fair tomorrow night. Crying like a little bitch.
If I was James Boyd of the Athletic, I would
Yeah,
ask him if
building
he's a
in excuses. So
bisexual.
if they lose this game, he has some excuses to fall back on.
Let me ask everybody on the panel here: if the Pacers win tonight and win the first 2 games at Cleveland, do you think that they sweep?
Yes, absolutely, 1000%.
I'm not going to go with the sweep. I don't. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I do think the Cavs are going to at least get 1 game out of this. I do. I expect them to at least get 1 game.
Like they
But
have one
I
win.
will say this. If you guys pull another win again tonight and you go back home up 2-0, that you will win the series. It may be 4-1. I could see 4-1 and you guys getting in 5. I don't think they're going to sweep it, but I do think that you guys will get the win. If you win tonight, I believe you get the win.
Yeah, and I want everybody to understand. Look, I picked Pacers in 7. I'm not going away from that. Hey, we won the first game. That's great. There's still a long way to go in this series, so I'm not putting Cleveland down at all. They're a very good team. So I don't want people to think that I'm not talking shit. I still think they're a very good team. Chris, what do you think? If we can win tonight, do you think we can get a sweep?
Yeah, if we win tonight, I think we could have a real good chance of getting a sweep because of being in Indiana. The key is if we winning that be game 3. If we win the first game in Indianapolis, I think we
It's
sweep.
over.
If
over
we're up
almost,
2-0 and they lose that first game back in Indiana to us, I don't see them beating us in game 4 in Indiana. I before the series started, I picked Pacers in 6, and I'm still going to stay with that because, like I said, Cleveland's a good team. I just think the Pacers right now are playing maybe the best basketball in the NBA. They're playing as good as any of the other teams I've watched in the playoffs, and I think they're just as a complete team as any other team that's still in the playoffs. So I'm excited about. I'm ready for tonight's game. If we can get a big win tonight, I'll be feeling real good.
Well,
we win tonight, I would be real shocked if we didn't win this series. I don't see us losing 4 games in a row. You know what I mean? They'd have to beat us 4. Yeah, they'd have to win 4. They'd have to beat us 4 times.
Wouldn't have to be in a row.
Yeah, but 4. They'd have to beat us 4 out of 5 games.
Four out of five,
I don't see that. I don't see.
Well, whatever things have happened.
See that happen.
But I definitely would like our chances if we won tonight. Yes, definitely, most definitely.
All right, but let's keep it in perspective, though, guys. It's 1 game.
Yeah, just one game.
It's not like we're 1-1 or 2-0 going back. I mean, it is still 1-0, and I don't want to not put some respect on the Cavaliers. Not that I don't mean to be disrespectful or anything like that towards the Pacers. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't want to be disrespectful to the Cavaliers either. And I hope that team keeps that dog mentality because they're going to need to fight every game and don't lax up or anything. Keep that same intensity. The Pacers got to keep that same intensity every game because Donovan's not going to give up. And if Evan plays tonight, Evan's not going to give up. So I expect there to be still a good fight there. And I think tonight is
Yes.
going to be very, very crucial for both of you.
Yep.
It's crucial for the Cavs because if they want to keep the momentum equal, they've got to win tonight.
Yep.
And it's crucial for you guys to get that second win tonight to where when you go home, you have a little bit of a breathing room and you can still, for a momentum and breathing room, right? So
If we go up
It's
2-0
huge.
Friday
It's
night,
huge.
it's going to be insane.
I think it's a must win for Cleveland tonight. I really
Oh,
do.
that's
I'm not-
absolutely a must
I
win.
think it's a must win for Cleveland. I think they have to win this game. And the same thing, I'll be honest with you, same thing for Boston. And they don't want to, I mean, I know Boston's a very good team and they're very capable, but they don't want to lose 2 games in a row at home.
Yes, Mom, we're looking at you when Tony is saying that.
And the same thing for Denver and them. If Denver goes up 2-0 on Oklahoma, Oklahoma don't want that. It's a must win for all those teams. I really believe that. You don't want to lose your first 2 games at home.
And with the Pacers getting game 1, it puts all the pressure on the Cleveland for tonight's game.
I'll tell you this though, if I was a Golden State Warriors fan, I would hope that Denver does beat OKC because I think Golden State would match up better with Denver than they would against SGA and company. I think that OKC team could give them a lot of issues. So I think Denver would be the better matchup for those guys.
Yes. The 2 games that we played against Oklahoma City this year, they beat us by 6 in Indy, then they killed us by 20 out there in Oklahoma City. It's one of those things I think I mentioned yesterday that besides the Patriots, the only team that's faster getting up and down the court is Oklahoma City. So it's one of those things, so.
That's a flying team, man. When I watched last night, they can fly.
No, I didn't say that I thought they was going to lose. Boston was going to lose 1. I just said you don't want them to lose. if they lose, that's a bad look. If you go down 0-2 to New York and New York's going home up 2-0, that would be a bad. I still think it's must win. I know Boston's heavily favored, just like Cleveland's heavily favored, and same thing with
a giraffe's ass.
But I don't. You don't want to go down 2 games. You don't want to lose 2 games at home. Same thing with OKC.
Yes.
I know OKC is heavily favored. Most people already credit OKC. Some people think OKC will beat Boston if they meet. But you don't want to go down 0-2. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I will tell you this though.
Not losing games at home. It's one thing to lose games on the road, but not at home.
Yeah. I'll tell you this though, guys. I mean, I know they didn't have Darius Garland in game 1. I'm not trying to make excuses at all for the Cavs loss, but Darius Garland, that's one of their main guys. He's a 20.8 scorer every night, just about.
They didn't have him in the first
that's a
playoff
lot
series.
of production. What's that?
They didn't have him in their first playoff series, and I didn't hear nobody using that as an excuse.
No, I'm not saying the first playoff series usually is against weaker teams. As you go through it, you do get a little stronger in your teams. Okay, let's be honest, and that's actually me giving you guys respect because I'm saying you're a tougher team. So when you play up against tougher teams, when you lose that offensive production, that does hurt you against other teams that are stronger. That's all I'm saying.
I get you. It does hurt you, but I don't feel sorry for them. Nobody felt sorry for the Pacers.
Of course you don't.
Well, we didn't have our players last year. We didn't have Matthew last year. We didn't have Halliburton. Nobody felt sorry for us. Hey, you just got to keep playing ball.
You know what? I need to get you with a therapist. You are harboring some serious issues. Like serious. Like
I'm good.
I'm nervous about you. You got some serious issues.
You're the one I'm nervous about. You need to go back. You need to go back and watch your takes from the last couple of days because you've been on opposite side from day to day.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Is it true?
Well, explain what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
No. Explain.
Yesterday you said that.
To me.
Okay, I'll explain. Yesterday you said that the Warriors was really a number 2 seed and the Rockets was really like a number 8 seed.
Well, he didn't say 8. He said more like a 4 or 5.
And then today.
Thank you. See, that asshole will sit there and make stuff up.
And then today you said, but then today he said the opposite, didn't he?
He said that the
Warriors beat the Rockets was the better team, and the Warriors beat themselves.
said they got
Frankie did say yesterday was opposite Monday.
He
So
can't even get it right. He can't even get that sentence out of his mouth correctly. Let me tell you what I said. I will tell you verbatim. What I said to you, and I specifically said this, and I don't think anybody in this panel is going to disagree with me. Before Jimmy Butler got to Golden State, they were a legit 7 seed. I don't think anybody in this panel when Golden State got there, and they went on a 25-5 or 28-5 run, that you thought that Golden State was a legit 7 seed. I don't think anybody in this panel does. Otherwise, like Juan Sanchez, you're higher than a giraffe's ass. Okay, let's be honest.
that was supposed to be.
And what I said was, hold on. And to furthermore, I want to make sure we're clear on this before we start slandering Jay McLovin's name. Furthermore, I said, and I think everybody will agree, if you look at the statistics, we did beat ourselves. Hell, Tony knows that shit.
Well, I don't think
Even Big Glenn knows that we beat ourselves in the statistical sheet. I said to you specifically, when you're scoring 39% and you're missing free throws the way we were missing them, you are not going to come up with the win. It doesn't. That's all I'm saying. I have never said anything.
The other team has something to do with you only shooting 39.
No, not necessarily. Because correct me if I'm wrong. How many free throws?
There's another team on the court, right?
You're not out there playing against ghosts. A lot of those misses, if you watch that game, a lot of those misses that had us at 39% was due to Sengun, and I love Sengun, but that guy was missing open layups 4 feet from the rim. How many times do you see that happen? And there was no defense around.
Steph Curry's misses was wide open looks. It wasn't nothing to do with Houston's defense.
That night. I don't know, guys. I can't tell you about Steph Curry.
Nothing to do with Houston's defense.
I'm just telling you, I didn't waver. I gave you specific reasons why I said what I said, not that I'm backtracking off anything that I said.
Well, Joe did say that they got lucky, and you did kind of agree with it.
We're crucifying Chris right now. Leave Joe out of this.
I disagree with it, that you guys that Golden State got lucky. I disagree with that. I thought Golden State won the series fair and square.
I know.
I thought Golden State.
I know. This dude tried to tell me
you can't take away what Buddy Hield
way better team than the Indiana.
Look, I'll be honest. You can't take away what Buddy Hield did. You can't take away what Buddy Hield did. Buddy Hield was on a different planet. It's called a team. Yeah, I can't help it.
Buddy Hield makes a bunch of.
I can't help it. Jalen Green didn't step up for the Rockets. I mean, that's why it's called a team. Buddy Hield stepped up and done his job.
I said it too. I get it. I'm right there with you, guy. I'm not disagreeing with you. But Jetsky, and I told you how unrated I thought Jetsky was. Buddy Hield showed up. Butler showed up. A lot of those teams showed up. Hell, even Looney showed up down low in the paint against Steven Adams.
Even Big Glenn showed up today.
Basically, you're saying that the Rockets aren't a very good team because they didn't show up.
I never said that. You said that.
I mean, that's basically what you're saying. You're saying
that's not what I said. I said last night that we did hurt ourselves. We did hurt ourselves. One game. Last night's game. Well, I'm not going to say that because we have had a couple other games where we are. It's almost like we're hurting ourselves, and it's nothing to take anything away from Golden State because I do believe Golden State. It should have been probably around the number 2 seed. I felt like because of Houston's lack of experience that we were probably more, and I told Tony this, but probably about a 3 or a 4 seed, probably more of a 3 seed. I felt like the Lakers were probably more of a 4 seed. I said that to you.
You know what's funny is I feel like I need to address this. I may not be higher than Giraffe's ass, but I tell you what, man, nobody said anything about being higher than the length of Peyton Manning's forehead. So,
what the hell?
Say that one more time. I missed that one. Say it one more time.
So, I don't know about being higher than Giraffe's ass, but nobody said anything about being higher than the length of Peyton Manning's long forehead.
Okay, Jay,
he does have a long forehead. That dude's got a forehead for days.
No, I want you.
That dude got Canada, America, and Mexico all on that forehead.
I want you to address this, Jay.
I
don't
know if we came out cocky, to be honest with you.
I don't think so.
I don't think we did
come out tough.
Actually, I thought we came out kind of flat against Golden State in that first quarter. To be honest with you.
I mean, let's face it.
Think about this. We scored maybe 35 to 40 points that first half. And I forget what commentator it was. It may have been Reggie Miller that said it, and I did believe him, that when Golden State usually scores higher than, or scores a little bit more than what the Rockets, or when the Rockets are scoring less than a certain threshold, that typically whoever gets to 100 will win. In this case, whoever got to 90 actually won.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, how do you say, Joe, they got lucky? They had you down 3-1. You guys made a great comeback. And like Chris, said before the other day, when they were down 3-1, he just thought it was going to be hard for Houston to win, to beat Golden State 3 in a row. And they almost got the job done, but they fell a little short. I don't think they choked. I really don't think.
I think what he's saying, I think what Joe is saying is, or where he felt like Golden State got lucky, is and I've said this, if Houston would have hit more of those 3 points, we would have been somewhere around the 80 to 90%, which is asking a lot for the Rockets. They typically don't shoot that high, but you get around 80 to 90% on the free throws, and you get higher than 39%, let's say you're around 45% from the field, that we could have probably either taken that game or at least went into overtime on that game. I think I want to say that, and I don't want to speak for Joe, but I feel like that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, but I don't see the part about being lucky. You were down 3. They
I
had you down.
I don't think, and maybe, and Joe, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to, again, I want to speak for Joe. I think, I don't use the word lucky. I just want to use the word competitive. I think we would have had a competitive game if we were if we were doing better at hitting our shots.
Well, no, anybody would though, Jay. But
what I'm saying though is, and I think what I'm trying to say is a minute ago when we were talking about defenses, if it was defense that caused the Rockets to shoot 39%, okay, I'll give you that. But when I watched that game, and I watched it from point A to point Z, and I watched all of the open shots, and I mean like open shots, like within 4 feet of the bucket, we're missing them, and it's not because of defense, right?
I agree with you on Sagoon.
You know what I'm saying? It's just us.
But I thought some of the 3-pointers. I thought Steph played really good defense in the second half. I thought Golden State was really out on the 3-point shooters. I agree with you on Sagoon. Sagoon missed some easy shots. There's no doubt about it.
I can't even tell you how many shots I can definitely in my brain think of 10 shots that he missed from open right there at the bucket, and they just don't go in.
But I disagree with the lucky part. If teams got you down 3-1, I would almost be willing to say if you guys would have come back and won those 3 games in a row, that you would have been lucky. Because how often for a team like Golden State to get up 3-1 on you, and you come back and beat that team 3 straight?
Oh yeah, and again, I'm not going to use the word lucky. I'm just trying to explain, I think, where maybe Joe was coming from. And Joe, if I misrepresented you, I'm sorry. That was just my interpretation of what I was reading into what you were saying.
Jay said, "That's a good chat." Paul Orr.
I'm not going to use the word lucky at all, but I will use the word that I think the Rockets were very extremely competitive, and unfortunately, we just didn't close it out. We did not close out Game 7, and it is what it is. And Golden State is where they are. And I will tell you this, though, like I said, I don't walk away with this upset at all, because I felt like this series that we have at Golden State is setting us up for future success in years 2 and 3 in the playoffs. So I think this is just nothing but a building block for us. And for Golden State, I'm sorry, but that window is kind of closing on those guys. 37 years old. Draymond got more gray hair than Glenn has hair. And, I really think that window for them guys is closing. That Dubs window is closing. And, we'll see where they go from here. But they got to win this year. I think there's a lot of pressure on them to win this year. I think there's a lot of pressure on Draymond to win this year, to show that, even though a 4 technical fouls and almost being suspended, hey, I can repose myself and do things. So I think there's a lot of things for Golden State that has left to prove and see what they have in the tank. It's a big year for Golden State. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen Steph Curry as lively as I've seen him since Jimmy Butler came to that program. I think when Klay Thompson left to go to Dallas, it absolutely took all of the air out of Golden State, because they didn't really have a number 2 guy. They got a great defender in Draymond. They didn't have a number 2 guy to really balance that offense, and Jimmy does that for them.
It did, Jay, but Klay Thompson wasn't Klay Thompson as before. So they needed something else.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll give you that.
Klay Thompson wasn't a number 2 anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you can even say that too. I just felt like when Clay really left, you could just see the way that Steph was. Steph was not playing inspired basketball. I think he was just there to be there. And when Jimmy came in there, he brought a whole new life of energy. And I felt like, it really invigorated or ignited Steph to really play competitive basketball. And clearly at 25 and 5 or 28 and 5, whatever it was before they got into the playoffs. I mean, that whole number in and of itself shows that he brought life into that team.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. He became Robin to Batman. I mean, that's what they both have said, especially Butler. Butler said he's Robin to Steph's to Curry's Batman.
Yeah. And I like the way that they're playing loose right now. I don't know if y'all saw that press conference, but when Jimmy Butler when Buddy Hield was getting up from the press table, and he was kind of jokingly getting up and everything, and Jimmy Butler was getting ready to come in and say his part at the press conference, and Buddy was basically announcing Jimmy and stuff to the point where I think, it was even kind of irritating Jimmy a little bit, and he was laughing about it, saying, "Shut up, leave me alone, go away." And but you can still hear him chirping in the background. I mean, this team is playing loose. That's one of the things I want to acknowledge is that they're playing loose going into Minnesota, right? And I mean, it's we see an exhausted team, they're an exhausted team. But when I see a team that is jokingly having fun with it and doing things, that kind of makes me think that they're taking the same loose attitude into Minnesota. And when they play loose, they play good.
Let me ask you guys, do you guys feel like the pressure got to Houston?
Oh, I'll tell you, the pressure definitely got to Jalen Green. There's no doubt about it. The pressure got to Jalen Green.
Last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter in Game 7, yes.
No, it was more than just that. Jalen Green wasn't the same Jalen Green the entire series. The only time I saw Jalen Green look like Jalen Green is when Jimmy Butler wasn't on the court and he got 38 points. After that, it was like 8, 38, 8, 9, and I think an 11 or something like that. I mean, it was very pedestrian Jalen Green. And that's supposed to be our number one scorer. And when your number one scorer is cast aside almost a little bit because his shot's not there. But I would say this, the Rockets as a whole, outside of Jalen Green, I don't think so. I saw Amen Thompson step up and do great things. I saw Jabari Smith Jr. step up and do good things. I saw the bench step up and do good things with Eason and company. And I saw Sagoon playing really good in competitive basketball. The only one I felt like he really got to was Jalen.
I thought it got to Sagoon Game 7.
I think it got to Sagoon in Game 7 because I think he was definitely missing some easy shots. And so if you want to say that, I'll give you that.
Yeah. I think it did Game 7. Chris, what do you think? You think pressure got to Houston a little bit?
It might have got to him a little bit. I think with Green, I think you can say, if you want to say some of it was pressure, you can, but some of it was Jimmy Butler locked him down. I mean, Jimmy Butler is a good defender, and Jimmy Butler locked him down for that series. Didn't ever let him get comfortable. Like Jay said, the one game Butler didn't play, he had a hell of a game.
That makes sense.
But Butler done a great job defensively on him, got him frustrated, got him out of rhythm. So I think some of it, Jay, I think you're right. I think some of it was pressure, but I think some of it was Jimmy Butler getting in his head and getting him out of his rhythm as well. But
I would give you that.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, with what you and Glenn said. I think in Game 7 toward the end, you kind of saw the pressure getting to him a little bit, but other than that, I mean, you're a young team, and it's just like the Pistons. Look at the Pistons; they had chances, couldn't close out games, and the Pacers last year against the Celtics, we got swept that series, but 3 of them 4 games came down to the last possession. 3 of them we were winning with 10, 15 seconds left and turned the ball over. Young, dumb, just careless mistakes.
I think we lost 3 of those games by 3 points.
And we ain't been making those kind of mistakes this year in the playoffs. So that experience is huge. And that's one reason I know Golden State has a lot of playoff experience as well, but that Minnesota team making that run they did last year, they have experience now too. So I think that's something they can lean on a little bit that they didn't have in the past. Now that they're playing against,
Yeah,
Golden State.
absolutely.
Let's face it, guys.
Absolutely.
I mean, Houston is where the Pacers were last year. We weren't supposed to got where we got last year. Houston wasn't supposed to do what they did this year, but it's valuable experience.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Houston's going to go further next year than they did this year. I really believe that. Now,
Bro,
what
we
that
just
means-
went 7 games. We just went 7 games with arguably one of the best teams out there experience-wise. Steph Curry, Draymond, Jimmy Butler. I mean, we went against Steve Kerr's coach. I mean, we took them all the way to game 7, and I am so proud of them again for taking on a very tough, experienced championship caliber team. And that was our first playoff experience. Are you kidding me? That was our first one, and we took them to game 7. Okay, you know what? I'll take it. Because to me, I know it's a loss in the books, but mentally and emotionally, get ready for next season. That's a damn W.
Yeah, that experience is big because I'm telling you, you can see a big difference in the Pacers.
Agree.
When they go out in the court this year in the playoffs to last year when they were out there, you could tell they're walking out in the court this year. They believe
They got swag, Bubba.
They believe
swag.
that they believe that they're going back to the Eastern Conference Finals and
They got
they can be in the
they got a chip on
yeah.
their shoulder.
Trust me, I watched
But last
Halliburton.
last year helped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
The experience of last year helped with that confidence, and now they believe, hey, we belong, and you can see the difference in how they're playing this year.
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
in the playoffs so far.
Just ask
compared
the
to last
Bucks in game 5 when we came back from 8 points down in 40 seconds. At the end of the day, that's all you need to know.
I mean, seriously. I mean, look. I mean, that builds swag. When you see that, and you know that you could compete, that's swag. And when you get that swag in your step, like I saw Miles Turner have when he was going into the tunnel, and Halliburton was having when he was talking in his little press conference at the end of that series, I was like, okay, yeah, they got a little swag to them now, you know. And that goes a long ways. That self-confidence, along with talent and skill, that goes a long way.
Now, I've heard some people I've seen online, but I've even seen some of the people on TV. I think it's too soon. How old is Green?
23 or 24, maybe.
Yeah, people are already talking about maybe Houston needs to move on from Green. Calm the F down. The dude's 22, 23,
Yeah.
23. He's been in the NBA a
Probably
couple
trying
years.
to get him to go to LeBron in Los Angeles or some shit
mean-
like that. You know how it is.
I get I get what you're saying because I agree with you. I don't think they should be thinking about getting rid of Green, but one thing I do think that I heard a guy, I forget who made the point. I think it might have been Quentin Richardson. Is you get a lot of these guys that or not a lot of these guys, but you get some of these guys. Green was one of them that instead of going to college, decided to go to like the G League and stuff like that. And if you look, a lot of these guys that went to that G League instead of going to college, it seems like when they come in the NBA, when they do get called up to the NBA team, yeah, they're not as ready as these guys that have played that went to college and played college ball. So I think there is something to that. I think if you look at the stats, some of these guys that don't go to college and they go straight to the G League team and play there a year or two and then go enter the NBA draft, it seems like they're not and it don't make a whole lot of sense to me because it seems like you'd be more prepared coming into the NBA from the G League because you would think you'd be running the same stuff as NBA teams are. But for some reason, it seems like these guys that are coming from college, and it might be just because you're getting to play more games and all that, they seem like they're more prepared when they
Yeah, so
they're coming
Jalen
out
Green
of
is
the NBA draft.
he's 23. Jalen Green is 23 years old, and the other core players are 22. Excuse me, 22. So he's
That's what I
20.
mean. I think it's way too early to be thinking about moving on from Green. I do. I think you need to add somebody. Yes, I agree with that. But I don't think Green. If there's anybody on that team that, and I know he may add some toughness, I just wasn't real impressed with Brooks. That's just my opinion. I think he does add some toughness to your team, but
He had some psychoness.
I think what Dylan Brooks brings to the table is an offense as it is defense. He does play good defense. He does kind of get into your head a little bit, He's more of a defensive guy who will shoot the ball every now and then, but you really bring Dylan Brooks in for defense. It's almost like a Rodman. I mean, how Rodman wasn't.
He's basically like a poor man's Draymond Green.
Okay.
Or probably what I would say even more so is maybe even like a poor man's Dennis Rodman. You know, Dennis Rodman was a rebounder and a defender, and he was kind of crazy in the head, but he wasn't really much of an offensive guy. You know, but yeah.
Dollar Tree, Draymond Green.
I don't know, man. Draymond, I'm not a big Draymond fan either. I think Draymond's more. He's defense. I'll give him that.
Hey, something, and Jay, I agree with you. You talked about it the last series, and same thing in this series. Man, Westbrook is really playing well for Denver.
Right.
Westbrook has been a big add for them. He has really helped them.
Right.
It may be the experience. I don't know what it is. He's playing well, but he's added something to that team.
Now, one thing I want to point out real quick, and this is really kind of like what you're saying, Tony, is don't be so quick to dismiss Green. And, you know, things of that nature. You know, when we played Golden State, the last time we played them, right before we went into the playoffs, we beat them 106-96. And Green went 9 of 19 for 3 of 7, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 21 points. And Butler gave you 13 that game. Now, again, this is where I think experience in playoffs is so important. Did he show up in the playoffs? No. Do I think that Green maybe struggled with the big lights of the playoffs? Yes. And I think that's what he's going to take. And I hope this is what he takes away from it. Should we get rid of Green? Hell no. But we need to see, okay, Green, we saw what you did last playoffs. What are you going to learn from it? How are you going to learn? What are you going to do to get better so when you go in the playoffs next go around, we don't see you disappear like that and you actually contribute? And I think you got to give him at least one more shot at the playoffs to see that.
Oh, I agree. You got to give him another season. I mean, he's only a couple years in, and I know he played real well for you guys in the regular season. But I think he's going to be a big player for you guys, and I hope they don't give up on him too soon.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, because it really is. It's a big thing to go from regular season to playoffs, and then to have, you know, one of the more experienced, talented teams out there that you got to face. I mean, I don't know. But I don't want to get too much on that because Amen Thompson didn't bow down, or not bow down, but he didn't shrink. I mean, Amen Thompson scored numerous times and he did well, and he's a young guy. So I don't want to take all the pressure off of Jalen Green. Jalen Green, you got to step up, guy. You're supposed to be our number one scorer. You need to act like it. Next playoff series, when we go next year, I expect to see that from you.
He's got to grow, but like Chris said, you know, you had one of the better defense. Well, probably the best defender on. Well, would you think Butler's good as defender as Green?
That was a quick click through there, Jay.
He might be. He might be at this stage. I'd say they're pretty close defenders, but I would say when Draymond was in his prime, Draymond was a better defender.
So, I mean, arguably their best defender on Green because they respected him. You know, he felt like there was number one scorer. So they put him on there to shut him down, and he did. Now, of course,
real quick, I'm going to address this real quick. So, Frankie says, get over it. You guys lost. Nobody else did this when their team lost. Frankie, last time I checked, you got spanked in 5. You weren't even competitive. So, yeah, nobody's going to talk about you. Number 2, your team is old and probably not doing much next year. So, yeah, probably nobody's talking about you. So get over yourself.
And one thing I did want to address back.
Yeah.
Sanchez said that, you know, that Boston had the best record during the regular season, away record. That's great. Regular season's over. We're in the playoffs. I still think it's going to be difficult. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm still not going to say they can't do it, but I still think it's going to be difficult to go there and take 2 games at New York. I just don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's that easy. Now, I don't mean they won't do it, but, you know, I'm not saying they're not capable, because they are capable. But that is a tough ask. So, in my opinion, if Boston loses, I'm not predicting they're going to lose, but if they lose and get down 0-2, I think they're in a bad way. Of course, I know that, I'm looking at it from I'm not a fan of either one of those teams. So I'm looking at it and I understand he's a fan. Just like the Pacers. If the Pacers got down 0-2, I'd be saying, oh, yeah, we got a chance. Of course I'm going to say that. I'm not an idiot, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I'm looking at it from a fair standpoint. And I still think Boston's going to win the series.
Yeah. I hope you're wrong. I hope New York actually walks away with that. I agree with you, though. I mean, the experience and everything that Boston brings to the table, I think a lot of that's going to be, again, Porzingis. I know you said, Chris, you said he was sick. Hopefully he's feeling better, well enough to play, because they're going to need him. They're going to need Porzingis to deal with Karl-Anthony Towns and company. So that's going to be key for them. But I would love to see the Knicks take that series. That would be amazing.
Let me ask you, Chris. Let me ask you this, Chris, because I know you would have mixed feelings, because I do. At least I think you would. Maybe not. I could be wrong. Let's say the Pacers are fortunate enough to get by Cleveland and go to the conference finals. I know because you like to beat Boston because Boston beat us last year. But how cool would it be to play the Knicks in the conference finals too, because of the rivalry we've had with the Knicks?
Oh yeah, it'd be cool to play. It would be cool because of the rivalry. Plus, we had that chippy series with them in the playoffs last year with the Knicks.
I mean, to me, of course,
that went 7. That goes 6 or 7.
Yeah, I went 7. Tyrese and then everybody went off and being 7. Then Jalen went down with that hand injury.
So I mean, But you're right, with all the history with the Knicks, like with Reggie doing the 8 points in 6 seconds, and just like all the playoff rivalries we had in the late 90s with the Knicks. I mean, that used to be one of the biggest rivalries in the NBA.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think that'd be cool.
It'd be a cool Eastern Conference Finals if it was Pacers and Knicks. Yeah,
but I'd rather be.
Cool.
I think in a way I'd rather play Boston and beat Boston, but we got to get there first.
Yeah, it's one of those things. When you compare the East Finals and the West Finals potential competitors, the East Finals is going to be more entertaining because you know why? The Pacers are going to be in it.
Let me ask you this, Jay, because you don't have a dog in the fight right now, and I'm not putting you down.
Yeah.
What Western Finals would you prefer to see, and what Eastern Finals would you prefer to see?
Yeah, that's good. I like two different versions, right? If it's going to be Minnesota, I would like to see them against OKC because I think they would be a great matchup of speed and talent. If Golden State wins, I'd like to see a game between Denver and Golden State because then it would be a battle of the half courts. And to see who has the half court. So I don't want so those will be the two that I want to see. We'll see how that comes to fruition. Ultimately, I guess I'd like to see Golden State and Denver go at it because
about Houston.
What?
I don't know what he said.
That was weird.
What happened? What did I miss about Houston?
You glitched out and went loading like a black screen with the little loading icon. Then you just came back just now, and I was making a joke about Frankie must got tired by hearing about Houston.
Oh yeah, no, but in all honesty, though, I think what I would if you had to tell me what of those matchups would I want to see the most, I'm going to go Golden State and Denver because I think it would be a great half court matchup. It'd be great to see Denver, who fired their coach, make it that far, and then you got Golden State with Jimmy Butler and seeing what they do. And I just think that'd be a great storyline, and I think it'd be a great series. Ultimately doing it, and ultimately, yeah, I'd like to see the Pacers make it to the finals. Like I said, you guys, I told you, I think yesterday, I said I'd like to see the Pacers actually win the thing because you guys haven't won anything, at least not since I've been on planet Earth. I don't know if you've won it before that, but. And so I always like to see teams that haven't won win, and so that's why I like to see the Pacers honestly get it. I think you guys deserve it, and I want to hear Gonzo say, "I say there, I told you we won the finals, and I still get no respect."
I agree, Billy Buzz. Boston's got too many championships. You don't need another one.
See,
I
guys.
want to
I
ask you.
told you.
Billy Buzz, quit being greedy.
Man, Billy Buzz says it's not gonna happen.
I know.
Okay, well, Billy, maybe it don't. Who knows? God, what a bust!
I'll give Billy Buzz a pass on that, but I ain't give Juan Sanchez a pass on that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Boston and Pacers in the East Finals and Timberwolves and Nuggets in the West Finals.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That's what I think.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Hey,
I know
Yeah.
you picked the
Run that
Nuggets
back,
before that
Gonzo.
game. You picked the Nuggets before that game.
And who do you predict out of that?
I think it's going to be Pacers and Nuggets.
Oh, ABA finals, baby.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
ABA final.
Wow.
Nuggets did play.
You know, I didn't even
ABA.
think about that storyline. That would be a really good storyline.
That
Yeah,
would
that would
actually,
be
I would
really
actually love that finals actually because the history, going back to Mill Daniels and ABA days, there's a lot of history there.
Slick Leonard, baby, Slick Leonard back in the 70s, man, on the sideline smoking a cigarette. Cool.
Yeah, he needs to see some
That's
back
true
and see some
story. That's
videos,
true.
Jay, of Slick.
I think at one time he was drinking beer, smoking a cigarette, coaching. I know smoking
I
a
know that one
cigarette.
guy from Utah was.
I know that for sure.
Pacers were one of the better,
yeah.
one of the best teams in the ABA.
Oh yeah, man.
ever.
I was a huge Pacers fan. ABA. I'm old as shit, man.
But all right, let's get out of here.
Yeah,
So,
let's get outta here.
anybody got any final thoughts?
No.
No, not really. I think I've said all of my thoughts. I have zero thoughts now, other than to go to the bathroom.
Okay,
Yeah,
real
well,
quick,
you're
Chris.
taking
Pacers,
number 2 there,
Cleveland,
man.
What's happening tonight?
Pacers and what?
Pacers in Cleveland. What's happening tonight?
Pacers win.
Pacers win. Warriors, Minnesota. At Minnesota.
I'm going
Minnesota's
Warriors and
gonna be
Pacers as being the winners tonight. Warriors and
Min-
Pacers.
Minnesota, and you already know my answer on the Pacers.
Yeah, Pacers are losing.
Before we
They
get out
suck.
of here, Jay, will you just admit that the Indiana Pacers are better than the Houston Rockets?
Oh, I won't say that. And it's not, and no, you know
I
what?
wouldn't
And
expect
I'm
them to,
not
'cause
saying
they're
that.
not
Hold
even
on, I'm
playing
not
now.
saying that. Hold on, I'm not saying that because to be arrogant. I'm saying I don't know, and I don't think you know that either. We'd have to actually play that series to see what happens. Because I'll be honest with you, the way when I saw up against Golden State, I think we give you a run for your money. So I'm not going to say that. I think I'd actually like to see that. To be honest with you, I'd like to see that series. I think it'd be good.
Maybe we can get that next
So
year.
no, I'm not going to say that.
Maybe we can get that in the
Maybe.
finals next year, Houston, Indiana. Maybe we can do back to back. We got to get there first. We got to get past Cleveland's ass first.
Hey, what I will say is this though: the Pacers did outlast the Rockets in terms of making it further in the playoffs. I'll give you that. I'll give you that respect. Yeah. Now get us the hell out of here, damn it! Oh, real quick, May 9th, which is this Friday. Hey, this Friday, don't forget, we got Makes My Blood Dance on the Whiskey Hour at 3 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. You can find it in the link above in our link tree. Access to that interview. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You know what? I'm old and irrelevant, but just like the Lakers, they're old and irrelevant too. That's just for Frankie.